Okay, this one is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do. There will be no screen sharing and I won't be teaching you anything about business. I'll make this video specifically for people who are either new content creators, like you're thinking of becoming a content creator, you just became a content creator, and I'll be making this video for content creators who are currently struggling. Okay? Uh, both categories are fine. The social media specific platform doesn't matter for like 99% of people. It wouldn't matter if you're starting this on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube. It shouldn't make much of a difference. But I would guess that this narrative has been most popular on Twitter. This is where I learned it from. This is where I found a lot of clients who knew that narrative from. So if you're on Twitter or X now code, this is more dangerous, but this applies absolutely everywhere. And it's about the COVID creator, the COVID content creator, and the myth of success that brings, which is something that you will not find as true. It's not really true. Now, before we get into the details, my name is Jordan Parker. I have a business that helps creators create their income, make their own money, build an actual business, and not just rely on getting a lot of views and likes and maybe a little bit of ad money to make ends meet, and to actually run a normal business like the entrepreneurs they are. If you're interested in that, I have a newsletter below. Let's get to the main point. So, the COVID creator. What happened a couple of years ago? I'm really bad with dates, so we'll use a couple of years. But basically, when COVID started, we got a massive surge of people working from home, a far lower surge than it was supposed to be. Like I've seen many people being forced to work in very unsafe conditions, which was obviously not ideal. But even though that there was so many asshole employers, we still saw most of the population basically box themselves in at home. And the result of that was that a lot of people got bored very quickly. Like, working remotely is a difficult skill. Everyone is like, oh, you need to work remotely. Traffic is such a big thing. But actually, working remotely has its own challenges, and it is not as trivial as people think it is. And for me, because I was working remotely like on and off maybe 7 years before COVID, maybe 8, and I was already at a very high level, which made it significantly easier. Experts have a far easier time working remotely than beginners. As a beginner, you just need more help. So many people actually struggled with that transition, and some people just abandoned that transition and decided to just slack off and not do much work because the environment allowed them to, which we won't get into. But what the final result of all of that was that people working remotely, they were saving time from commuting, they were not as productive, the actual environment was far less effective and far less productive overall, was people were spending a shit ton of time on social media. And we can see that through any sort of analytics you want to see. People were just spending a lot of time on social media, like a lot of time. And what that meant is that they wanted to consume content, and they wanted to consume new content every single day, because most people are already on social media every single day. But when the amount of time goes from, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, to like 3 hours for some people, and especially lonely people, they could explode that to like 10 hours per day. Like, there are some very, extreme cases that are shockingly common, because what do you do when you can't even go out? Like, especially if you don't have a family, if you don't have a close person that you live with, you're left alone. Social media makes you feel social. The time people spend there just exploded, which is normal. Like, with isolation, that was very expected and very normal. But then we get to the second part of this, which is, what do people see? And on social media, like, YouTube has always been in a very healthy state in terms of, creators making very consistent content. There is a lot of different types of content, and there has always been a good community on YouTube. And by always, obviously not like absolutely always, but it's a very active platform already. But when it comes to platforms like Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram, the amount of content people produce was different, and the quality of content that people produce was different, because you can get away with a lot more documenting content, and a lot of, just fun stuff like, hey, this is what I ate. Hey, this is the new, pack of cards I purchased, or something like this. This is fun and all, but no one wants to see that every day. Like, no one wants to just watch that kind of content for, weeks and weeks in advance. So what that created was the necessity for something that we currently have on YouTube, which is pretty cool, which is some sort of educational content as well, on top of the plenty of entertainment content. And I'm focusing here on the educational part of the market because this is the type of creators that I work with. But the same principles apply for the entertainment industry. I just don't know it as well, so I'm commenting on the stuff that I actually can comment on because I understand it. So this created the massive need for people to create educational content. It makes sense. So you go on social media, you want to feel connected, but at the same time, you would prefer if at the end of your visit on social media, you don't feel like you just wasted your entire day. You don't feel like you just burned 4 hours. And what makes this feel less unproductive is watching stuff that helps you learn something, that helps you gain insights, gain knowledge, whatever. And this is what people do on YouTube. Of course, a lot of people do it in the other extreme, like over consuming educational content and not actually implementing any of it. Yes, you shouldn't do that, but having educational content on the network is a net positive in my opinion anyway. So what that started is a wave of creators who started creating educational content because it was working. People wanted to be educated. People wanted to get their news in a better and more efficient way. People wanted to learn and grow, which created a lot of educational businesses, mostly by accident, because a lot of the people who started this had the experience of a waiter, accountant, or something like this. They never actually run the fully fledged business, and the actual final results of businesses were whatever works, which is normal. Like your first business will be like that. There is no blame, nothing bad in that. But this is the reality that is very, very important for something that I'll get to in a second. So we got a bunch of those businesses. There was a lot of failures as well. No one talks about them. This is a very dark topic. No one mentions the people with 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 followers who just quit because they were making so little money and spending so much time that it was not making any financial sense, even after months of work. And I personally know 10, 15 of those creators. I've worked with a couple of them for a bit, and they did not have it easy. So the good, lucky, people in the best environment, whatever you want to call it, whatever their reason for success, that's irrelevant. But a percentage of people who started in that area on social media, in that age of social media, became very successful, and they started creating a lot of opportunities for themselves because of the very fact that there was so much demand for that type of content, that the speed between you starting out and the speed of you reaching an audience so big that you can actually make a significant profit became much more compressed than it naturally is. So we've seen people explode in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months. It vastly depends on industry and positioning, on your general skills. Like, it's not you can get famous in like 3 months. That's not the case, but in certain cases that's what happened. In rare cases, but it's still they're still 100 times more common than they are right now. So the final result of that created a lot of creators who built their business in a very specific way. All of them built their business in the exact same way. Like they basically follow the same model, which is create this type of content, then grow, send emails, sell an info product. That was the whole journey for everyone. And now, first of all, building an email list and selling info products are still absolutely viable things that you can do nowadays. There is nothing bad with that. The thing is, getting enough people to join your email list from simply creating content is a very different thing when you compare the start of COVID and right now. Very, very different thing. And that's where a lot of the misconceptions come from. There's a lot of them, but a big chunk of them come from this specific problem. But what happened is we got a bunch of people who run through this business model. It was very successful for them. That's a fact. It was very successful. A lot of people made a lot of money. And after they created this opportunity for themselves, a lot of people from their audiences started asking, "Hey, how did you do it? Tell me how did you? Wait, stay here. Tell me how did you do it?" And a lot of those creators, sometimes of course driven by greed and all the nasty emotions, and sometimes because they're just helpful people, were like, "Okay, I'll just share what my experience was so we can try it out as well." So they created courses on how to do this exact thing. They sold those courses. Some of those sold very successfully. Some of those creators even started teaching that as their main thing, like that was the main thing that they did. Again, no blaming that. That's perfectly fine. The problem that comes after when eventually COVID ended. What happened is that the amount of new creators coming in, because this specific business model was already a big thing. It was very viral. It was the new gold rush. Was very attractive. So new creators started coming in every day after the bunch of courses appeared. So we started getting new and new and new and new creators, which is normal. Like when something works, more people want to do it. People want to do stuff that works and don't want to do stuff that doesn't work. Very common stuff here. And what that created is that when COVID ended, the number of people wanting content were, here, which they basically jumped from here to here, and the number of creators were here, and they slowly rose to about the same level. But what happened is that creators stayed here, and the actual number of people who could consume content, the hours spent on social media, started decreasing. But creators didn't just stay here; they continued going up and up and up and up. So what happened is that the audience shrunk and the number of creators continued rising, which is not what you want when it comes to being in a good strong market for any sort of business. So the results of that is that we have something called the COVID creators who started their businesses during COVID, who might now run very successful businesses, and there is nothing wrong with those businesses, but the model that they use to create their initial businesses does not work anymore, because you will not get the same amount of reach. You will not get the same amount of attention from simply posting your content using their strategy or using any strategy. You will need significantly more time than you would see presented online. You'll need significantly more effort, and in many cases, for many niches, many problems you want to solve, you will not even be able to do this completely relying only on social media. You might need to use traditional marketing and traditional lead generation instead. You might need to run advertisements to your stuff. You might need to do cold messaging, cold DMs, or cold emails to people so you can find clients, or you might need to just spend a significantly longer time to actually gather an audience that can buy from you, or you might need to do the opposite and vastly shrink your offering so you're solving a very, very, very specific problem that a very small section of people needs. And if you could find this section of people, you will be able to operate your business with a much smaller audience. So while a lot of the products that were created during COVID were with mass appeal, how to start your business there, how to make info products, how to do this thing in the most generic way, which made sense then because there was a lot of demand for it. Again, we're talking supply and demand, not true or false. True or false is bullshit. We're talking about, does the market want the thing or doesn't the market want the thing? If the market wants the thing, it's true for the time being. If the market doesn't want the thing, it's false for the time being. So it's not a black or white situation. That's absolutely stupid. It is about what makes sense in that specific moment. So what happened is, the courses that a lot of creators learned how they make content from were very, very broad, very, very unspecific. Even though they're all about niching down and making yourself the brand, we created some monstrosities of brands interested in 17 different things. We created a bunch of people selling products about 17 different topics. Again, this can work if you have a huge audience. Given a high enough audience, you can create the mini audiences that every single product you have requires. That's fine. I wouldn't call this a super optimal business model, but it is fine. It can work. It can make you money. But starting this way is exceptionally dangerous. So this isn't something that people just even know. Right now, a lot of people are still thinking in the 2022 way, 2021 way. I don't even remember when COVID started. Really bad with dates, I told you. But what's happening is that if you're thinking in that way, if you have indoctrinated yourself in that mindset, the result of that is very dangerous, because your expectations of what social media will do for you and how fast it can do it for you will be extremely wrong. And believe me, I had the wrong expectations as well. I've run four businesses before I started my first business that was based on social media, and I still got the wrong expectations. It's not something that's obvious. So, my suggestion is if you are just now starting out, start on the side. Make sure you have an actual job. Make sure you have an actual income. If you don't want to work for anyone, become a freelancer. That's perfectly fine. This is honest work and that's amazing work. It will teach you a lot of the business skills you need, by the way, and run your content business and grow it until it can overtake whatever freelance stuff you have in terms of income. Or if you're currently working in a position that's not horrible, just keep working there and build social media on the side. It can take more time, but it is absolutely worth it because in the future, and that future includes 2025, everyone needs a brand. It's no longer optional. You need a brand if you want to get hired, if you want to grow in your positions, if you want to work for yourself. No matter what, brands are becoming so ingrained in society that you don't really have a real choice there. So building your brand on the side, amazing idea. If you want to do it, if you want to just do it, make sure you have a good amount of savings. You're not taking massive risks. Plan for 2 years at least. Don't plan for 3 months. Don't plan for 6 months. That's just the stuff that is wildly overhyped. And while it might work in the odd case or two, it requires a massive amount of skills that you likely don't have all of them. That was a very weird sentence. You probably don't have all of those skills. And because you probably don't have all those skills, and because you currently can't even figure out what skills you need, as a beginner you won't be able to do that. It's going to be very dangerous, even though it's going to seem very simple and very straightforward. It will be more difficult. I'm not saying this to dissuade you. I actually think that being a creator is one of the best professions absolutely ever. I think it's amazing, but I also think that people need to make informed choices. You need to understand what you're getting into and actually decide that you want exactly that and not to want some imaginary dream that will never actually happen. So, if you are a creator and if you are an aspiring creator, if you are a beginner, then consider this route. If you are not a beginner, if you're currently a creator, if you're making some money but you're struggling, I'll give you two things. Number one is think about your lead generation and where you can get more people to join your newsletter. You need to be running a newsletter. I am running a newsletter. It's called Creator Income. And I help with that kind of stuff there. If you want it, join in. It's free. But you need to figure out how to get more people in your newsletter. And that doesn't mean it has to all come from, you making content. Some of it might come from search engine optimization. Some of it might come from YouTube. YouTube is very different, by the way, to LinkedIn and Twitter and so on when it comes to many aspects. So it was less affected by this problem, but it's still affected. Every network is affected. But because it is different, it makes it a good additional revenue source. And I suggest everyone running a text platform and YouTube in conjunction for content creation. Absolutely, for me, those are necessary and required. So you have YouTube, you have your text platform. This is a good start. Then you can introduce some advertising. You can introduce some search engine optimization. You can introduce partnerships. You need to think outside of the box. Pick what skills you're good at and lean into them. If you're good at talking to people, make partnerships. Find other creators and build together. This is wildly more effective and wildly more efficient. It will let you grow 5, 10, 15 times faster. It is stupidly effective and amazing. If you are too introverted, if you're too introverted and you're lying to yourself that you can't talk to people, you can. It's just a little bit tiring. Sorry if I'm diminishing that, but it really is training. But if you are on that side of the spectrum, look into ads. You look into paid media, because paid media is the way to go. Usually at the end of everything, you want to combine every lead generation source to be able to run your business. But at the very start, at least, look into several different sources of lead generation. After you have that, after you have figured those out and they're running in some capacity, because your first ads are probably going to be like $5-10 a day. They won't be something stupidly expensive. But after you have that, then focus on your top end revenue. Like, how much money are you making per customer? How can you increase that? What kind of a high ticket offering you can sell? So you can sell 1 or 2 of those per month, so you can actually cover your costs and have a lot of excess cash to reinvest in your business. You need to invest money to make money, so you need to be reinvesting a good chunk of your cash into your business. and that needs to become the norm. It's not about spending all of my time, which costs nothing, on social media and getting all of my leads for free. They're not free. You obviously spend all of your time. It's about how much I can get from how little I can invest, which I'll say again because it was not clear enough. How little I can invest to get the highest possible ROI, the highest number of leads, the highest number of clicks, the highest number of purchases. If you can balance this equation, then you will grow and your business will be fine. After you have those two sides of the scale, which is supply and demand, you want demand to be higher than supply every single time. This is necessary. Only businesses who have higher demand than supply will make money. This is a law of nature. If no one wants you, it's very hard for someone to want you. If everyone wants you, everyone else wants you as well. Like it is just nothing works and then everything works. It's always that way. People are very biased by other people's opinions, and that's what really happens. So knowing all of that, knowing those things, you need to figure out a way to be able to invest more into getting customers. The more you can invest in getting customers, and the more you can remove yourself from that investment, like the more you can pay with money and not time, the more you enable your business to grow, and the more stability you give to your business. Because the biggest issue we saw with creators exactly after COVID ended was lack of stability. They went from 50K revenue to 10K revenue to 15K revenue to 35K revenue to 60K revenue to 1K revenue. We've seen very, very weird situations. I've seen those with my clients. I've seen those with everyone. Those happen a lot. And this inconsistency is not a way you can run a business. You can't make payroll with a random amount of money that comes in your bank account every month. You need stability. And this is necessary. Otherwise, your business will be 1 to 3 bad months away from failure. And you can have your highest months, but if you don't have the stability, which you can do with planning and organizing your finances, but the best way to do it is by organizing your business and having a solid business strategy, you will not be in a good spot and you will suffer. You can get in debt. There are some very horrible things at the end of that journey. Don't walk that journey. So again, for beginners, focus on taking it slow. You can make it. The timing is not guaranteed. When you will make it is not something that you can control, but the results are guaranteed. If you stay on this long enough, you will get results. The only thing is, can you stay with this long enough? And for you to be able to stay long enough, you need to be able to sustain yourself. So either have a lot of savings and very little expenses, or run a job or make money in some way so you can outlast the initial start of this, which is slow and not very profitable. For everyone who is currently struggling, focus on replacing social media as your only way of lead generation with another or several other ways of lead generation. Diversifying your lead generation is very critical, and focus on increasing your lifetime value per customer. The lifetime value per customer problem is massive. I have seen creators with hundreds of thousands of sales, not hundreds of thousands, that's a lie, with tens of thousands of sales, who has their most expensive buyer at like $300. This is insane. If you have 100,000 people buying from you, or even 10,000 people buying from you, 1% of those people will be able to invest 5K. Like, just getting that money is a massive difference. Like, it's like the math just doesn't make sense if you only offer very, very cheap stuff. You need to figure out how to increase the average spend for every subscriber, and that is your second problem after you figure out your lead generation. If you're in a good spot with the lead generation, obviously focus on your lifetime value for customers. That's natural. You don't need to fix a problem that's not fixed. That's not a real problem right now. But after you have the lifetime value for your customers figured out, or at least higher than now, and it's very plausible you can raise that by 30, 40, 50%. Even we've seen increases in my company that are like 2-3x in increase of lifetime value per customer. That's very doable from very many businesses, especially creator businesses. Then focus on your lead generation. Then focus on investing in getting clients and investing in getting the best clients. So yeah, don't get baited by the fact that everyone says that this game is easy. It is not easy. I don't think it is easy. I think it's amazing. I think it's very fun. I think it requires a very good set of skills that will make you a better person and that will make your life objectively better and that will give you fun and freedom that you can't really get anywhere else. I don't think it's going to be easy. I'm going to very surely say that you will be tested. It's either going to be your patience, either your skill to learn, either one of your other skills or traits. You will be tested, and it's gonna be difficult, and it's gonna suck for a good chunk of the time. And it's okay for this to suck. It's okay for you to suck because you'll be a beginner in a lot of this shit. That's normal. But the important thing is you have to outlast this, and you have to think like a business owner. And a business owner thinks about the supply and demand of everything and about how they scale this supply and demand. Don't think about how many likes you're getting. Don't think about how many views you're getting, how viral you're getting. Is this getting you to money or not? You need cash to run a business, and you need to focus on getting this reliably and consistently. Otherwise, you will guaranteed have a series of months that are going to destroy you. It is very dangerous, and I don't want you going this route. I have seen this route. It is not fun. People get in a very dark spot, and some people never get out of it. Do not get there. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful. If you have a friend who is considering social media, please send that video to them. If you have someone who is struggling with social media, send that video to them. And if you have an enemy, send that video to them as well, because they will say, haha, this comes from this guy and or this girl, and like I don't like them. Because of that, I'm not watching this video. So we will actively make sure they fail, because they will not watch the things that they should watch. That makes sense. Anyway, have a lovely day, and I hope this was helpful. Bye.